Hey everybody, Hendrick here, and let's take a green flag on something that just popped up in my feed, okay? And it's basically, how do I word this? And I don't take my glasses off unless I'm really pissed off, okay? And man, I look different. But folks, Project 2025. Why? Just why? This whole project bit is basically a middle finger to Joe Biden saying we're going to get rid of this, we're going to implement this and all that. I can't even think straight right now. It's so fucking stupid, okay? There's this huge packet and it's been in the back burner since 2022 apparently. They basically want to dissolve the government and just put in this authoritarian government. And this basically means that we're going to be living under an authoritarian dictatorship. Because they want to disband the FBI. They want to cut down costs of the Department of Justice. They want to kill the Department of Homeland Security. Which basically means, folks, the Coast Guard's out of a job unless they get some help from somewhere else. Or become an offshoot of the Navy. I don't know. Excuse me. Tax cuts. They want to get rid of the Department of Education. They want to cut the Institute of Health. They want to eliminate Affordable Care Act, emergency conversations. They want to shove Christianity into the government. And being a Protestant, I find that just really stupid. They want to criminalize adult films. Not so much, and it's more of they want to criminalize the people that produce it. And I'll get to that later. And they want to get rid of the LGBT community. And I have very... This I think, is going to lead into the Second American Civil War. I really do. And this group, the Heritage Foundation, which is what Project 2025 is based on, it's been around... Well, not it, but the parent company behind this, known as the Heritage Foundation, they've been around since the 1980s. So they've been a real dick for 40 years now. I can't even think straight. This is just so aggravating. Let's see, what does the critics... Critics have described this Project 2025, and I agree wholeheartedly, as authoritarian, Christian nationalist, and we would head into an autocracy where it's just one person running the whole place. So governors of states would be completely out of a job. It would have indicated this would undermine rule of law, separation of powers, criticizing its, for example, the context of centralizing power, individual rights and freedoms, climate change, foreign trade. And yet Project 2025 is pulling the surprised Pikachu face when they find that they are being just like, oh, well, here's all the problems. What? There's nothing wrong with it. They're being a naive, surprised Pikachu, okay? The people behind this. And I hate it. Like, I'm just gonna go over some things briefly, okay? I know I said in my last video I'm gonna structure it like a NASCAR race, so let's give this a try. It's still a green flag. We're still going. Let's see what to talk about, because there's just so much to pull apart here. And this is, the whole thing is basically, we hate Biden and we're going to make sure he pays for it. And I'm thinking, guys, you're going to do more than that. You're going to make the country fall apart and you're going to pull an even bigger surprise Pikachu if this were to pass. Which I don't think it will, because it's infringing on so many different problems. Not problems. It's infringing on many people's rights. For me as a Protestant, the Christian nationalism sounds like what they're going to try to do is say all the Jews, all the Muslims, anyone else that isn't Christian, you're out. That's what it sounds like to me. And being a Protestant, I find that really stupid. Let's see, 2024 campaign speeches. Donald Trump has echoed various aspects of Project 2025. Well, he's thinking of promoting it. I wouldn't do that. And then climate change. Now here's the first caution I'm going to say, so we're going to slow down for a second. Climate change is evident, but not as bad as a lot of people say, okay? Basically, it's there. But the media has exaggerated how bad it is. I had a friend that was from New York City, and he said, yeah, the same thing. Climate change is here, but it's slow going. I mean, I'm not hearing a whole lot of problems in terms of climate change. It's not bad to get a new renewable energy like solar power, geothermal, all these other kinds of renewable energy sources. But what Project 2025, we're restarting here, back to Green Flag, is they basically want to get rid of everything. They want coal, they want oil, they want natural gas, which is kind of clean, and diesel fuel. Diesel fuel is pretty good. But they want to abandon strategies for reducing greenhouse emissions response. So they basically want to make the world worse, apparently. They want to downsize the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. They want to abolish the oceanic... They don't care about the environment. They don't care about ocean life, apparently. They're just like, we want to pollute the planet, and we're going to make money off of it, is what it sounds like. Oh yeah, and states wouldn't be able to make new laws about it, like California. This is ridiculous. It really is. I'm looking through it, and it's just giving me a headache. Economy. I'm not sure about that. Let's see. What else to talk about with this shithead of a project? Yeah, and then they're wanting the president just to run everything. Here's one point I like. I did see one point earlier. Oh, here we go. In the economy, Project 2025 declares that God ordained the Sabbath as a day of rest and recommends legislation requiring Americans to be paid more for working on that day. I actually like that. So here's the second caution. I can't remember if I did it first. Someone comment on it. The second caution I will say is, this is not a bad idea. Because people, as some ordinary gamers have said, is we're living paycheck to paycheck. And to live paycheck to paycheck, it's ridiculous. So if Sundays were like overtime for everybody, that's not a bad way to think about it. You're getting more money, and people can really work and live that way. So that is one bit. If that were to go through as its own little bill or law or whatever, working on a Sunday, you get more money. I'm cool with that. But everything else, not so much. Quick restart, but we had another caution. Third one. This one I will also say is a good idea. Right now, there are at least, in my opinion, 4 countries we've got to keep an eye on. Russia, China, North Korea, and Cuba. Cuba being the closest. But what Project 2025 wants to do is have all NATO allies of the United States keep a closer eye and confront any threats from especially Russia and China. But the last thing we want is it's kind of a mix for me, is while it is a good idea to keep a closer eye on these countries, the last thing you want to do is provoke them into where one of those 4 countries pushes a big red button and everything ceases to exist. We don't want that. What else? Back to restarting. We are restarting. And then Project 2020. Oh yeah. The LGBT community would be under attack from this. And I've got friends that are in that group. And it wants to get rid of the racial gender ideology. I'm reading this off here from an article, and it's just like, what? This is definitely a right-wing Christian attack on fundamental rights here. It's getting out of hand here. National security. There's just... I would say I was going to talk about adult film. Basically with the adult film bit, and you have to watch what you say here on YouTube these days, Project 2025 wants to outlaw that. But it's more aimed at individuals and companies producing this stuff. And I say this is it's getting really bad. It's just like, I understand where they're coming from of outline adult film stuff, but the Supreme Court has ruled against attempts because on the grounds it was protected by the First Amendment. And it kind of is. It's freedom. It would be freedom of press. That's what it would be considered. But yeah, let's keep going here. Man, there's so many policies here. I mean, everyone's saying this is essentially a huge government takeover, and that Trump would be a dictator if he's elected president. And here's another thing I wanted to say. This presidential election is going to be the saddest and pathetic election ever, okay? You have, on one hand, a guy that is so angry and representing the Republican Party, he'll do anything just to smear it in Biden's face. And on the other hand, while he is pretty old, you have another guy that he can't even remember what time of day it is, and he trips downstairs. I honestly would prefer I would prefer fucking Biden over Trump at this point. I know I've got someone in there in one of my Discord groups that says Trump, 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 and I'm not trying to make him a bad person. He's a good guy. But at this point, it's just like, can we not keep this kind of shit up, okay? I remember growing up, things were so much simpler. The first time I voted, let's see, I was 18, so that would have been 2011. I voted for Barack Obama. And then I've been voting Democrat my whole life, but this election, I really don't know who to vote for, because, I mean, think about it. You got two completely old people that are, I don't know. This Project 2025 popped up in my feed. I only did essentially how do I word it? Like a crash course, essentially, of just how messed up this proposal is. But my gut honestly says, it's not going to pass. There's another thing I remember seeing pop up in this Discord group. That's not going to pass either. There's two bills that are being done by these right-wing crazies, and I don't think either of them are going to pass. Because it's usually the House. The House is all about Trump, I think. And they're the ones that are going to be like, okay, we'll pass it. But then when it gets to the Senate, and I can't unthink Star Wars when I hear Senate, white flag's in the air. I'm going to wrap this up. White flag means we're almost done. But the Senate usually shoots these bills down because they're thinking about the people. They're thinking about you and me, if you live in the United States. But the Senate is usually the one that looks at these things and is like, you fucking kidding me? No, this bill is not going to pass. So, I'm honestly thinking, my gut is saying this is not going to happen, because if it does happen, my parents, my immediate family and I, we don't know what we're going to do. All we do know is that we're going to be ashamed to be called Americans if this project goes through, which I highly doubt it won't. Can you imagine the whiplash and backlash that could happen? You'd have people leaving for Canada, Mexico, Europe in droves. The United States would just collapse on itself. You'd probably have just a few 100,000 diehards spread across this whole country to help make ends meet. And I'm looking at my desktop right now, my laptop, and I've got the Disneyland castle here right now. And I can imagine poor Walt, Uncle Walt, he would see his whole, his parks in California and Florida just crumble. Because no one, if this project thing does pass, it's gonna make either the whole American country just fold in on itself. It'll make maybe two countries appear where the United States used to be, and we'll have a second American Civil War. I think one of those two is going to happen. Either the country's going to be completely vacated, people are going to move to Canada, to Mexico, the Caribbean, Japan, Western Europe probably, or there's going to be a really big second American Civil War. Either way, this country it went from really good to just unrecognizable. And there's the checkered flag, folks. I'm shocked that this is because people are just getting so angry about how culture is changing. They want to try to regulate it. I don't know what else to say other than this is just ridiculous. Alright. See you guys in the next one.